Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our WCW What If series in TEW 2020. It is the go home show for the Great American Bash. Bash is happening this Sunday, and we have all sorts of chaos happening for that show, which we will run down in the opening segment. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. Last week, Roddy Piper was attacked by the New World Order, who were attacking the Horsemen. Piper came out to try to stop everything, and he got attacked. Um, After a phenomenal main event that saw Brian Pillman successfully retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship over Ric Flair by disqualification thanks to the New World Order's interference, but it still got a 99 rating, so that was crazy. This week might not be as high of a rating, but because I'm trying to do a little different stuff than normal, but we're gonna go with it. We're gonna run with it and see what happens here on the Go Home Show for the Great American Bash. We open up in front of 19,558 people at MSG itself. Madison Square Garden is the home of Nitro here tonight. We open up with Roddy Piper in a pre-taped video running down the pay-per-view this Sunday. He's still kind of looking a little worse for wear after, kind of a little sore after the beating from last week, but he does announce that this Sunday, of course, we have the World Heavyweight Championship on the line in the rematch. Bret Hart will be challenging the new champion Brian Pillman for the World Heavyweight Championship. We also have Diamond Dallas Page, who is now the number one contender for the United States Championship. He will be challenging Dean Malenko for said championship. We have Chris Jericho and Sting going at it one-on-one in their rubber match, which should kind of end that feud there. We also will have a television title matchup at the pay-per-view as Stevie Ray will get a shot at the WCW World Television Championship that's currently around the waist of Brad Armstrong. We also find out that there is going to be a Cruiserweight Championship matchup at the pay-per-view. It is going to be a triple threat matchup, but Alex Wright will not know who his opponents are until WCW Saturday night, as there will be two qualifying matches on that show to determine who gets the shot at Alex Wright's Cruiserweight Championship. And because it's been a couple months, and, which is kind of a little embarrassing, the Women's Championship will be on the line at the pay-per-view as well, as Mugu Mikuto will be defending her Women's Championship against the woman who was recently announced as a member of the New World Order, Dynamite Kansai. She will be challenging for that championship at the Great American Bash. And on top of that, after the chaos the last few weeks between the Horsemen and the New World Order, Piper kind of, wincing a little bit while he's talking about this part because, he's trying to sell the fact that he's still a little sore. He has made it official that this Sunday, on top of Brian Pillman and Bret Hart fighting each other, with those two groups, being represented in that, there's going to be a 6-man tag team match. It will be Ric Flair, Marcus Bagwell, and Chris Benoit of the Horsemen taking on Paul Levesque, Jerry Lynn, and Sean Waltman of the New World Order. So we'll have to see how that all plays out, because that's going to be chaotic itself for sure. So big rundown for the pay-per-view this Sunday. Exciting matches to be had, on top of some other stuff that might be happening on that show as well. 90 rating for the segment, as we get a great hype from our authority figure here in WCW, Roddy Piper. After that, we have an interesting little segment backstage, where Dustin Rhodes is kind of hanging out, and Booker T approaches him, says, "Look, man, I like, it was a loss last week, man. Like, it happens. You win some, you lose some in this business. You can't get upset about this stuff. Like, I understand you've been feeling kind of down recently. You've been feeling, you've been having these losing streaks or whatever, if you want to call it that. You haven't had a lot of success around here, but hey, man, like, it happens. It happens. I mean, you of anybody should know in the wrestling business that kind of stuff happens." And Dustin's just like, yeah, but it's clear that I need to change. It's clear that something needs to change about the here. And Booker's like, well, yeah, I mean, you train harder, you work harder, you get yourself back into shape better, like you keep fighting next time. And Dustin's like, no, something else needs to change. And then he walks away. And Booker's just like, the fuck? Like, he's just kind of really confused about that. But there you go. So Dustin Rhodes kind of with this cryptic message about something really needing to change. I'm not sure what that's all about, but 88 rating for the segment here, as Booker T just kind of left wondering what Dustin means by that. We'll have to see what he means by that in the future, I guess. Then after that, we have a promo from the Odd Couple, the Tag Team Champions, 99 rated segment. That says that where they say that Owen Hart has been checked on by doctors after his injury a couple weeks ago. He's been worked over, he's been worked on, and WCW officials, pending a potential final medical inspection, have cleared Owen Hart for this Sunday. So he will be wrestling, or he will be available for the Great American Bash. And so Owen Hart and Steve Austin say, well, if we're both going to be available to wrestle this Sunday, we should have ourselves some opponents. So they say that they talked to Piper before the show, and there's going to be a triple threat tag team matchup here tonight, right after this promo, actually, where the winners will get a shot at the WCW World Tag Team Championships. So Owen Hart and Steve Austin kind of throwing out the fact that they're going to be defending their titles this Sunday, but it's going to be dependent on who wins this triple threat match right after this. And in a 71 rated matchup, Too Cold Scorpio and Rocky Maivia defeat the Armstrongs and Big Bubba Rogers and Shane Helms in 909 when Scorpio pinned Helms with the disc that don't miss. Scorpio head and shoulders above everyone else, kind of obvious. But that means that Too Cold Scorpio and Rocky Maivia are getting the shot at the tag team titles this Sunday at the Great American Bash. 71 rating for the match. Scorpio with a 76, 43 from Rocky, 48 from Steve Armstrong, 50 from Scott, 54 from Shane Helms, 56 from Rogers. Pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff there. Of course, all three teams had someone at ringside with them as well. Jesse James was in the corner of Scott and Steve. Ron Simmons was in the corner of Scorpio and Maivia, and then Miss Alexandria York was in the corner of Rogers and Helms. But there you go. So, tag team titles on the line this coming Sunday as well. It will be Owen Hart and Steve Austin defending their tag team titles against Too Cold Scorpio and Rocky Maivia, which should be a very, very interesting matchup for sure. 71 rating for the match. Good stuff there. Then after that, our television champion, Brad Armstrong, is brought out by Gene Okerlund from the back. And he is being interviewed. He's being asked about his, he's kind of talking about his impressive TV title run so far. How he's had a lot of defenses of it. How he's trying to be one of the best TV champions in WCW's history. When Stevie Ray interrupts, of course, earlier it was announced that these two will be fighting for the TV title at the Great American Bash. Stevie says that he never truly lost the television championship, that he had it taken from him, all because of the error, all because of the injury, the audible and injury stuff. However, he doesn't go super into that, but he kind of talks about how he felt like it was unfair that he had it taken from him. And even though he's had a shot or two since then, he feels like he rightfully deserves that television championship and that he is going to claim it for himself this coming Sunday night. Brad says that he welcomes any and all challengers. He has no problem facing Stevie Ray for the title. But if Stevie thinks that he's going to be able to defend or to stop this successful title reign so far from Brad Armstrong, that he is sorely mistaken, because Brad Armstrong will continue to be your television champion. So, kind of a generic-ish kind of promo here, but nevertheless, it gets the job done. It gets a 76 rating as builds up some more hype for the match this Sunday for the WCW World Television Championship. Then after that, I booked this match knowing that it was going to suffer because of lack of selling, but I did it anyway. In a decent matchup, Meng defeats Samu in 6:32 by pinfall. 71 rating for the match. 75 from Meng, 58 from Samu. Suffered from a lack of selling. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Meng just kind of squashed, not full-on squashed Samu here, but he definitely looked dominant in this match. He definitely looked like he was just fully in control of this matchup. Not that I really wanted to bury Samu, but the idea is that, like, Samu wants to, is willing to put up a fight, but Meng is just way too much for him. But the match itself is not important. It's what happens afterwards. As James Mitchell gets on the mic and says that Meng has chosen his next victim. It is that Jesse James Armstrong person. He says that he knows of the history of the Armstrongs in professional wrestling, but he and Meng care not about the history, about the family lineage, about any of that. For he and Meng only care about destruction. They only care about devastation. And Jesse James is just the next name on the list to be destroyed by Meng. 71 rating. Doesn't really reveal when a match would be happening between the two, but it's just James Mitchell kind of hyping up a potential match there. So not too bad. Gained heat for the storyline, so I can't complain about that. As at some point in time, you got to imagine we're gonna have a match between those two. We'll have to see when it happens. After that, Steven Regal is backstage he's kind of walking backstage when Roddy Piper confronts him. Well, he got an 88, which is kind of surprising, but whatever. But Piper confronts him and says, hey, man, like, I was trying to help you out for months. I was trying to steer you on the right path. Like, I know that I've never been a good guy in this business. I've always been someone who, people boo and all that stuff, who the people don't like. But I was trying to steer you away from from a group like the New World Order, who are out simply just to destroy WCW and the professional wrestling business itself. Why in the world would you align yourself with them? And Regal just kind of smirks and says, I don't have to answer to you, Piper. I have no obligation to answer to you. And you know what? I never asked you for your help in the first place. Piper kind of gets a little frustrated and kind of complains about the fact that Regal has joined the New World Order, but this is all a little bit of a distraction because Paul Levesque, Jerry Lynn, and Sean Waltman show up from out of nowhere, and there is a 4-on-1 beatdown in the back on Roddy Piper, leaving him laid out as officials try to come in and separate everything immediately. But the damage has been done as Piper is once again beaten down by the New World Order. 88 rated segment there as it's really good stuff here as it kind of sells the fact that the New World Order are not afraid to even go after Piper himself right now. So they have become changed, like they've become definitely kind of more changed individuals since they've basically lost all their championships. Like they've kind of become I don't want to say darker, but they've become more aggressive, they've become more vicious, and they're willing to just kind of attack anyone and everyone, no matter who they are. So there you go, 88 rated segment here. Then afterwards, in an extremely short match, Cactus Jack defeats Supernova in 4:43 by pinfall to double arm DDT. 67 rated for the match, 96 from Cactus, 34 from Supernova. Nova not signed to WCW, it's just a one-off appearance, although maybe in the future he'll be signed, but for the time being, he's not signed by WCW. I just needed a local worker to bring in for the night because I didn't want to. The other people, everybody else that I would have had to potentially be in that position were either unavailable or had other things that I did. So, 67 rating here as Cactus just gets a quick, easy victory here on Nitro. Afterwards, Giant comes out, and the two are kind of face to face with each other. Security comes out to try to separate them, but security can't seem to stop the fact that a brawl starts between the two of them. They are fighting with each other in the ring. They're fighting with each other outside of the ring. Security keeps trying to separate them. Every time they do, one of them breaks free from being held back and attacks the other. It leads to a chaotic brawl that, tons of security officials and even police have to try to get involved to try to separate the two of them. Not announced for the Great American Bash because I have other plans for that, but they are clearly going to have some sort of battle in the future that's going to be absolutely chaotic for sure. Then after that, we get a quick little promo from Raven with the flock. Al Snow, Mark, Francine, and Rena are there as well. They're just not on screen officially. But Raven is the one cutting the promo here and says that he has continued to offer to open the eyes of those here in WCW who needs their eyes opened. And this Sunday, he wants to issue an open challenge to see who wants to have their eyes opened to the truth. The truth of the flock. The truth of the reality around them. Quote the Raven, nevermore. So 65 rating here as Raven throws out an open challenge for this Sunday. We'll have to see who ends up accepting that challenge. It's also not revealed if it's 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. It's not revealed. He's just throwing out an open challenge. Then after that, Sting, in one of the very few matches on Nitro, defeats Sexton Hardcastle in 559 by pinfall of the Scorpion Death Drop. 80 rating for the match, 81 from Sting, 33 from Hardcastle. Sting, getting the victory here. Again, kind of rare to see him on Nitro. He hasn't really had a whole lot of matches. We're like halfway through the year so far, and I think he's only had like 7 or 8 matches, including this one. Actually, this one might be like number 9. So he hasn't, we haven't really had him wrestle, but he's been on TV pretty much every week. He's just been doing a lot more promos than anything else. So I need to kind of get him featured in some matches a little bit more often. But 80 rating for this matchup here as he defeats one of the youngsters in WCW in 559 by pinfall with a Scorpion Death Drop. After the match, 100 rated segment as Sting is celebrating the victory when Chris Jericho comes out and says that we have gone and had this fight long enough. We've gone back and forth. You've won some time. You've got the advantage sometimes. I've gotten the advantage sometimes. Enough is enough. This coming Sunday, we will have a rubber match. We will have the match that will end things between us. And just to sweeten the pot, of everything, I convinced Roddy Piper before he got attacked backstage. What a loser. Just because he's Chris Jericho, he has to be heel. I convinced Roddy Piper to make this match a number 1 contenders match for the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship. So the winner between Chris Jericho and Sting will be getting a future shot at the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship, pending who wins between Pillman and Hart this Sunday. So that's huge, as the possibilities are there. Will Sting get another shot after not having a shot at the world title for a long time here? Will Chris Jericho get his first shot at the world championship? Who will it be against? I mean, the possibilities are kind of crazy and endless there, but there you go. So number 1 contenders match for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, the final battle, so to speak, between Chris Jericho and Sting. After that, we see Dean Malenko backstage, wherein Diamond Dallas Page approaches him, and the two, they're still friendly towards each other. They're not showing neither one of them is showing like a heelish tactic, so to speak. They're friendly towards each other. They shake hands, and Page says that, listen, man, like, I know we're gonna be fighting this Sunday, but I will consider it an honor to be competing against you in that ring. I know you have your style, I have my style. There's going to be an interesting clash of styles. But just so you know, Like, I can, I'm friendly towards you. I respect you and all what you can do in that ring and all that. But this coming Sunday, I may pull out all of the stops to become the new United States champion. And Malenko's just like, hey, like, I get it. I understand. I don't, I'm preparing myself for anything and everything. I know, I've watched your career. I know how you can be in the ring. I know how much you really want this United States championship. It's, kind of obvious through the feud you had with Eddie Guerrero last year that you really want this United States championship. So I understand it. And when you, when you come for me this Sunday, just know that I will prepare for everything and I will out wrestle you and still be the United States champion. So kind of a friendly, I don't want to say rivalry, but kind of some friendly banter back and forth here where they're kind of making it clear that like they might respect each other, but they are not, that the respect's going to be kind of thrown out the window during that matchup this Sunday because it's going to be, everything, thrown everything at the window, so to speak. So we'll have to see who ends up winning the matchup between the two of them in just 6 days' time. Then after that, Bret Hart struggled when going off script. All right, well, it's still got 100 rated anyway, so I'll take it. We have a split interview between Bret Hart and Brian Pillman. It's one of those, shown on the screen. Well, for those watching on TV, it's shown right there on the TV screen, but for those in the arena, they're having to watch on a screen. Which, this is June of 97, so technically we have a screen at this point, I guess. But Bret Hart and Brian Pillman are having a split interview, and Hart says that World's Heavyweight Championship around the waist of Brian Pillman belongs to him, that he is the greatest professional wrestler in this business today, that he is better than everyone, bar none, that there is no one in this business better than him, and that if WCW really wants to try to have any sort of saving of itself, it should make sure that Bret becomes the world champion this Sunday. Kind of haven't given a little bit of an eerie message there. And Pillman says, I don't care what lunatic, like what crazy mindset you have. In fact, it's kind of funny that most people call me crazy and you're the one acting like a goddamn lunatic right now. Because I don't care what kind of crazy mindset you might have right now. I'm Brian goddamn Pillman, and I'm the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. I have been fighting for this opportunity for years now. I am the world champion. I am the one who's going to make sure that I take out anyone and everyone who gets involved in that matchup. I'm going to take you out. I don't care what kind of technical abilities you have. I don't care what kind of submission abilities you have. I have no respect for you. Ever since you came here and you joined the New World Order, I have no respect for you at all. I have no respect for you and the way you're acting now and all the rest of your group. And so I'm going to not only defend WCW, I'm not only going to defend the Horsemen, I'm going to retain my WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And Bret Hart just kind of smirks a little bit and says, kid, you know nothing about the wrestling business. You think you do, but you know nothing about the wrestling business. You come from a background of football and you come from a background of everything else, and you've only been here in the wrestling business for a cup of coffee. As someone who's been in the business long enough, everyone knows that I am the greatest professional wrestler, and that everyone knows that I am the deserving World Heavyweight Champion. So congratulations on your little cup of coffee run as the world champion, because this Sunday I will be putting it to an end and righting the wrong that exists in this world right now. And Pillman kind of gets the final say here and says, you can pretend all you want that just because you have more experience in the wrestling business than I do, that means you deserve this, kind of raising up the world championship at that point. He says, but it doesn't matter, because the problem is you're making all of these threatening claims and all of these, all this stuff. You're saying all of this to a guy who's not sane, a guy who has no cohesive thoughts. A guy who's willing to go out there and do whatever the hell he wants. If you honestly think that you're going to threaten me with the New World Order showing up, if you honestly think you're going to threaten me with your years, your decades of experience, or your all of your skills of technical masterclass or whatever, it's not going to matter, because I'm just too goddamn crazy to care. I'm just too goddamn out of it to care. That's what everybody says, right? I'm too crazy. I'm too out of it. I'm a loose cannon. I'm a loose cannon. The loose cannon Brian Pillman. I'm too crazy to be stopped. I'm too crazy to care. And this Sunday, I might just go crazy on you. I might just show you what craziness truly is. And when it's all said and done, when the dust has settled and the smoke is cleared, I will still be your world's heavyweight champion. So great back and forth split interview here between these two, hyping up the rematch for the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship this Sunday. And then in our main event, 85 rating. Not bad. I'll take it. I was a little worried about it, but I'll take it. As in about the head great wrestling good heat, Chris Benoit of the Horsemen defeats Barry Windham in 9:35 when Windham was disqualified after Paul Levesque ran in and attacked Chris Benoit. So Benoit gets the DQ win. 85 rating for the match, which is pretty good. 92 from Benoit, 76 from Windham. Paul Levesque came in and attacked Chris Benoit, which, makes sense because these two, beyond the New World Order and Four Horsemen feud, those two have had some issues from the U.S. title match last month. So they're fighting with each other. Jerry Lynn and Sean Waltman show up to start fighting with Benoit when Bagwell and Flair show up, and there's just a big old 6-person brawl happening to end Nitro as the New World Order and the Horsemen brawl ahead of that big 6-man tag match this Sunday. Bagwell looked dreadful in the segment, whatever. But 85 rating for that, as kind of hypes up that big tag match this Sunday night. 93 rating. I'll take it. Increased popularity in 32 regions. I will take it. A couple of really hot stuff, especially towards the end of the show there. Yeah, I'll take it for sure. So we've got our card pretty much fleshed out for this Sunday. World title on the line. Bret Hart taking on Brian Pillman. U.S. title on the line. Diamond Dallas Page taking on Dean Malenko. Tag titles on the line. Owen Hart and Steve Austin defending against Too Cold Scorpio and Rocky Maivia. TV title on the line. Brad Armstrong defending against Stevie Ray. Women's title on the line. Mikumi Kudo defending against Dynamite Kansai. Cruiserweight Championship on the line in triple threat matchup, which, as of right this second, you don't know who is challenging for it, but you will hear in a second when this loads. As well as that big 6-man tag team matchup, the New World Order versus the Horsemen. We also have an open challenge from from Raven. I am all over the place at the moment. And we also have Chris Jericho versus Sting 1-on-1, where the winner will be the number 1 contender for the WCW World's Heavyweight Championship. Before we dive into what happened on WCW Saturday night, we'll look at the ratings really quick. Number 2 rated show on the night, only behind The Simpsons. 7.5 million fans. Raw had almost 3.7 million fans watching. They're starting to slowly increase. Again. They had an 80 rated show. I saw Scott Hall and Psycho Sid defeat Ahmed Johnson and Marty Jannetty in the main event. So they, good stuff there. Their women's division continues to kill it, though, because they had an 82 rated women's matchup between Akira Hokuto and Shepardetta Asari. So, my God. What the goddamn hell. But there is that. We will go ahead and look at Saturday night. Apparently Dustin Rhodes had a catchphrase that they debuted. I might have kind of skipped over that when it happened. Saturday night saw Lance Storm defeat Billy Kidman in one of the Cruiserweight title qualifier matches. And then RVD, Rob Van Dam defeated Kaz Hayashi in the other one. So the triple threat match this Sunday will be Alex Wright defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Lance Storm and Rob Van Dam. We also had a promo from Dynamite Kansai again, talking about Megumi Kudo and the women's title matchup this Sunday. We had kind of a continuation with the Rick Martel and Dawn Marie thing. And then the main event, we had Bull Nakano and Dynamite Kansai, Rising Force, if you will, as that is the name of their team outside of WCW that we're just calling it here in WCW as well. They defeated Cutie Suzuki and the women's champion Megumi Kudo. So Kudo's only lost one other match this year, and that was that mixed tag match where her and Dean Malenko lost to Marcus Bagwell and no, not Marcus Bagwell. Who did they lose to? They lost to somebody. They lost a mixed tag match earlier in the year. So this is only her second loss of the year so far. So that's kind of a big deal. We'll have to see if the advantage is in Kansai's corner this Sunday with the women's title on the line. So there you go. That's our build up for the pay-per-view. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think it's going to be, I think we're really going to have to see how everything plays out. A lot of craziness getting ready to happen. And until that happens, we'll catch you all in the next video.